people are insane. Like they're still formulating their ideas. So intellectually they can investigate things and really like become brainiacs. Athletically, they're in a great position where their body's like at the height of it and they can like perform athletically amazingly. Those are the, you know, and then all these other aspects. There's so much potential in young people. And what we do in America is we like make them go to school and do like, you know, a whole full-time job with school and then homework on top of that, high school and college, especially college. Like my one course is nothing but outside coursework. Yeah. And we just go to like debrief how outside coursework's going. I'm like, I have no free time. It's going terribly. Thank you. And then you make them like get a part-time job on top of it. Mm-hmm. And so it's like people my age should be like doing more with their like being creative and being athletic, just like being human beings. And instead we're just like, and that's why I think young people are in such like a weird state of like this anxiety, not just in the sense of mental anxiety, but just like this physical, like I could be doing more, but I'm like bound by these chains of school and work. And so we really should, I don't know. I think the education system in America is like this is probably the most flawed institution in the Western world. I've realized being at Buffalo State for almost 4 years now, it's just an institution designed to scam young people, and I have no reservations saying that.
It's crazy, and I experienced that myself as well. Like first of all, you look at the school tax debt or the school loan debt right now that's going on. It's literally $1 trillion debt going on right now.
And people think that investment's going to pay off, but these degrees are becoming less and less valuable.
Right.
Especially if you go into fields like English or any humanitarian study. The idea that you're going to get a job from that outside of teaching, which is only so many teaching jobs, and you're also just feeding into a system that's already broken. Mm-hmm. It's like, unless you're in the math and sciences, you shouldn't go to college.
That's exactly what it's pretty much for now. It's pretty much like, like you say, you can go into math, you're going to science, you're going to become an engineer or, you know, whatever it may be. Outside of that, man, it's tough to get a job. Like I know people that got master's degrees and, you know, whatever, name the degree, but can't find a job.
Yo, if you're in high school listening to this, him or her, and you're not trying to be like a scientist or a mathematician, maybe don't consider college that heavily.
Pick up a trade.
Yo, get an apprenticeship. Go to trade school.
Yeah.
Just like, or if you're really creative and you have like this thing where you perform music and you know you can do it really well, maybe invest a little more time in it. Don't like put all your chips in that basket, but let that breathe through. Like I knew like from working with you that this is where I'm going to shill over you a little bit. You have like this personality and this voice that belongs on like radio and movies and shows. Like you just have like, you are, I think, like a talk show host, like just as your personality. Like you could be you should take Kimmel's job is what I'm saying, you know, but you that. As like a man, you find yourself like, all right, what am I able to do? Yeah. And so you get yourself the gear, you carve out time, you do this show. Yeah. And it's like, I'm so happy to see you do that. And I mean, with me, it was like that really, and you kind of helped me motivate me to write, because I was like, I know I have all these ideas and stories in my head. Like people who know me and talk to me know that if they were to sum me up as one thing, it'd be like a communicator and a storyteller. Yeah. And so I'm like, what am I doing if I'm not writing a book? You know, I used to want to make movies. The problem with that is it relies on a lot of money and a lot of other people. Right. Writing a book, I can just sit there on my laptop and make it happen.
Seriously.
I wrote like 500 pages over the summer. I just wrote like for 4 hours a day for like 5 days a week, the whole 3-month summer. And I made the entirety of my book.
That's what's up, man.
And it's like, because I'm so passionate, and it's like all the things I talked about earlier about like religious stuff and free speech and just like the weird culture is now. It's like all of that's kind of like themes in the book.
Let's talk about your book. Let's talk about that.
I have like I expected you to ask that. Yeah. Whenever people ask like, what's your book about? First of all, if someone says they're writing a book and you ask them, what is your book about? Prepare, because authors love to talk about their books.
Please do.
But I'll sum it up in this. I have like 2 sentences because it is kind of like it's what you can call a grand narrative, where there's like a lot happening. But I will simply say it's a dark supernatural drama designed to analyze Christianity in the modern world. In it, 3 young people from different worlds have to work together to prevent the end of the world. That's the book.
Okay.
it sounds like, I mean, I don't know how it sounds because I can't wear your ears.
Sounds like a pretty interesting read.
Yeah, but I mean, I rant about themes and imagery. There's so much imagery and stuff in it, and like my investigation of the Bible and my relationship with God really influences it, because also like my personal tragedy, my testimony is like in there, and my frustration with like culture and people where they are. I see people like building their lives on like this weak foundation, and I have a hard time communicating to people. Like, I mean, I don't really have a hard time communicating to people about that, but it's like I want to create a story that could really speak to this like emptiness in society of like, I feel like as a culture we've like I said, we take God out of the picture as a culture, and then we ask for that morality and that ethic to exist without its foundation. And I'm trying to portray as the major theme that's not able to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But also like I also want to challenge Christians, because I think American Christians are the group of people who are going to take challenge with my work the most, because it's like first of all, the content's dark. If this were, I conceptualized it as like a TV show, like,
okay,
as a season of a TV. Every chapter is an episode sort of thing.
Okay.
It was first a TV show in my head, and now it's a book as a season sort of thing. But if it were a show, it would have to be like rated R. Like it'd be like Daredevil or something. You know, it's got violence, it's got some harsh language, it's got intense situations. There's I can't say that because it's a spoiler. But I was going to say an example of an intense situation in the book. But and there's like drug use, and there's all sorts of crazy things that happen. But through it, I'm trying to like, I feel like a lot of times with Christian media, they try to censor the way the world really is. Like PureFlix is like the worst thing ever. First of all, the fact that there's a Christian streaming service and it's not called Cruciflix is a shame. That's a missed opportunity right there. But also like, we put on this like the whole God's not dead thing of like, oh, here, look at these cheery, happy Christians. Aren't they so perfect? And it's like, and then people in like church, I see the American church, I mean like big picture. They say like, oh, bring your doubts, bring your questions, bring your skepticism. Like that's all welcome, but really it's not. Like they don't really want your doubt. They don't really want to have the hard conversations. But I've experienced communities that do, and it's, if anything, it's strengthened faith for me.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to paint is like, hey, the way we have been like looking at the Bible, like not from like an atheist perspective and even a Christian perspective, mass scale, is completely backwards. Like Christians have purported this like, you have to be a good person to go to heaven. And that's what atheists believe because that's what they hear. But that's not what the Bible says at all. The Bible says like, you're broken and you can't be fixed. You can't fix yourself. So God's answer to that, in order to save you from yourself, is to become a man in Jesus and die in your place. Mm-hmm. And putting your faith in him and his resurrection is what saves you. Nothing else. And so people who like say like, oh, I hate the church because they oppressed all this on me and they made me behave a certain way. It's like, that's understandable. And so there's people, I mean, and so there's Christian characters in my book. There's three main characters, one of which is a skeptic, like atheist guy, because I wanted that to be like a large part of my audience is that demographic. And so I want them to like have a voice.
I got you.
And I feel like I've been
somebody to relate to.
I've been skeptical, and I've had mostly atheist friends my whole life. I understand their worldview and I sympathize with them a lot. And so that's one of the characters. The other one is like, she is a Christian through and through. But she's also like really flawed in a lot of ways. She doesn't think she is at first, but then over the story, she's challenged. She finds out like, oh, I'm not, as great or as righteous as I thought. Okay. And then the third character is really inspired by myself in a lot of ways, is sort of representing the duality of man and how he struggles with his like his tendencies and proclivities towards evil and harm, and how he really desires to be righteous, but he, without saying spoilers, he has forces at work in him that will prevent him from doing such. So you have atheist, you have Christian, then you have this man in like the middle in this duality. And then the three of them have to work together because there are these forces at work that seek to destroy the world. And also the three of them have, abilities. I'm kind of making So superheroes are kind of, I know, as soon as I said abilities, you're like peaked up. Because the language of how people conceptualize the world now is through superheroes. People are like, it's the media now. It used to be like Westerns. People were like, cowboys is how we, and how much time are we going on, by the way?
You're good, man. We got, just talk. Just go. I don't have no time.
It used to be like people would speak through cowboys. People would speak through detectives or spies, like James Bond and Humphrey Bogart movie, like, you know, these major genres. Now, for like the past 10 years, it's been superheroes, and it's understandable. It's because they're speaking to the real life thing where when you have power, what do you do with it? Great power comes with responsibility. I'll quote hashtag Ben Parker, R.I.P. That dude got killed 3 times.
He got bodied.
Yo, again and again. Anywho. So that's the theme, is like, I want to comment on that because it's like, that's sort of, it's influenced my culture. I can't not make a story and not include people with abilities because it's like the whole, also like the theme is a theme in the Bible as well, is like when you give people power, what do they do with it? It's like people
abuse it.
They abuse it. That's the whole story of the Bible. Like literally every single person in either religious or political power in the story of the Bible and also in the real world since like, you know,
beginning of time.
Since the beginning of time, they're all corrupted, and so so there's this the Christian character is a girl named Sarah who, unbeknownst for no explanation that she could explain, can see the future. I think that's so Raven. She can see the future, but she doesn't know how. She doesn't know why, and she doesn't know how to settle that with her Christian worldview. Yeah, she doesn't know like where that fits. Like, is it from God? Is it from the devil? Is it a scientific anomaly? Is it all fake because I'm like I'm evidence of evolving towards a future thing? Yeah. And so that's that. There's a character, the atheist character is actually not a human being. He's an artificial made human, like someone made him like from
like a cyborg.
Like a cyborg, but not made of robot, but made of flesh. Like he's grown.
Like a Terminator?
Like a modern day, think Frankenstein's monster type of thing, but not stitched together out of dead body. Like you take an artificial synthetic sperm and egg, and then you make a person. Okay. And his thing is that he can heal. Like think Logan. And then the other character has a spiritual, supernatural influence on him. That I won't spoil it because it's a spoiler of revealing like what it is, but he has this mind control ability similar to Kilgrave. Okay. But instead of speaking it, it's through eye contact. He makes eye contact with somebody and then he can control their body. And it's the 3 of them, and they realize that there's this grand plot to destroy the world. And they're like, what do we do? And all of them also are like trying to struggle with how does this whole situation fit into an atheist worldview, a Christian worldview, or what? I feel like my microphone fell and now you're recording the ceiling. There we go. We're better. I heard my echo and I was like, that's not good. And so, yeah. And it's also, but again, with like, back to like how I think Christians will handle it. It's like these characters have doubts. Sarah at one point, like she's a Christian and she's like halfway through the book, she's like, I don't know if this is like worth doing, following Jesus. Like, the only thing that's come is misery and pain from it. Like, why do it? And then there's like, there's just doubt and skepticism through the whole thing, but there's also hope and faith throughout. God's character is revealed throughout. And I think through it, I'm going to see like, I want to communicate just like my heart and soul in it of like what I've experienced, what I've learned. Right. And so I'm excited for people to read it. I know probably people are, I mean, as soon as I made a Facebook post, like saying like, hey guys, I wrote a book and it's going to come out in like a year or 2 after I'm editing and done, you know, and everyone's like texted me like, let me read it. Zach Sammers, shout out to him again. He texted me that night, like as I'm about to fall asleep, like, dude, I need to read it. Like, send it to me right now. Yeah, because he knows, like me and him, he knows probably best at anyone at TJ that I'm like, I can tell a good story. And so I told him like, dude, you're gonna have to wait. Like, you're gonna have to wait like a year plus because after you write to be continued, because it's gonna be continued. It takes there's so much before it's like people can hold it and stuff. Whoa. Yeah, it's windy today.
Oh, okay. I was wondering what's going on. I thought it was
wind just blew out the windows.
Somebody was breaking in. Okay.
They heard the podcast and how I mentioned breaking in, and they're like, oh, I can do
right. That's dope, though, man. Yeah. That's dope. I need a copy when you're done.
Yo, you'll get a free one.
So. Yeah, I definitely.
Everyone, I'll hold me to this. Everyone who I shouted out, my Tuxedo Junction family, gets a free copy.
Seriously. Yeah, I need one of those, man. That's dope.
Even if I lose money, I'll freaking send it out.
So you still going through